You have finally decided to get your first mechanical keyboard and have a budget of about $100 to $200 and you have no idea what to get. In this video, I'm going to show you what you can get yesterday, today and tomorrow with that kind of money.
There is no place I'd rather be than right here next to you.
The custom keyboard scene underwent two dramatic shifts over the past 4 years. The first three, needless to say, were the COVID years. Prices ran right up as the hobby saw an influx of newcomers who had nothing better to do at home. A variety of keyboard designs flooded the market, and honestly, I think some boards didn't deserve the price that it commanded. Demand for keyboards was sky high and everything seemed hunky-dory. This, I call it the first boom, not knowing that winter is coming.
Inflation soars to a 14-year high.
Inflation rose more than 3% in July.
Money's drying up.
Defunding winter.
You can kiss the idea of a new bull market goodbye.
The past year or so has been nothing but bad financially. Everything became more expensive. The governments and banks tightened their wallets, so money lending came at a huge cost and interest rates. As a result, this led to poor cash flow in many businesses, causing huge layoffs, especially in the big tech corporates like Google, Microsoft, Apple, so on and so forth. The ripple effects are felt by common folks like you and I, and it means that we collectively cut down our spendings on luxury goods, more home-cooked meals and less on fancy restaurants. And for us in the community, means one keyboard instead of 5. Therefore, when those overpriced boards hit the market, prices nosedived. Not to mention the dark side of it all, where certain vendors, for a variety of reasons, were unable to finance their group buys because they were caught up in the financial downturn. But how are these series of events related to budget keyboards? Today, there is an oversaturation of budget keyboards. But the way I see it, there are two subcategories hidden here. One is the entry-level budget keyboards, and two is the pro-level budget keyboards. And the landscape of these two subcategories has changed quite a bit in the last few years. See, 3 years ago, this divide was crystal clear. If you're a newcomer to the hobby, googling the term mechanical keyboard would bring you to big brand names like Logitech, Razer and Corsair that have colourful RGB and clicky switches. These are the entry-level budget keyboards. They are simply characterized by the fact that they are not able to be customized easily. They come pre-built with proprietary switches and a fixed aesthetic, so you cannot just go and buy any keycap set and expect them to fit on the stems of these proprietary switches. Some niche brands like EpoMaker, Keychron and Ducky came into the picture to disrupt these big players. Although they are slightly more customizable in the sense that you can swap out switches and keycaps, most times you cannot change the layout of any of these keyboards. Like in the Keychron K6, there is literally no programming to allow you to remap keys. Construction is also cheap, mostly made of plastics, and a very stiff typing experience overall since everything is bolted down on a tray mount. But in exchange, you have everything you need out of the box. No needs for assembly, it just works. The combination of these features make them the entry-level budget keyboards. They range anywhere from $100 to over $300. One such example is the 60% keyboard that Keemove sent me, and it costs just $23 US. That's really a steal. And without any work, this is how it sounds. So overall, a very stiff typing experience and a very plastic construction. But however, they come complete with switches, keycaps and stabilizers, and you don't need to do anything to it in order to use it right out of the box. One key thing to note that, like I said, there's no way to remap the keys. So for example, if you want the bottom right cluster to function like arrow keys that is missing in 60% keyboards, sorry, you're out of luck. In summary, if you're looking for a highly customizable keyboard, this entry-level tier is not for you. However, there exists another class, the pro-level budget keyboards. These are suitable for those who don't want to splurge, yet are ready to get their hands dirty. First off, the PCBs are designed with a community standard of MX switches, meaning to say that you can choose from a huge pool of switches that suits your taste. Clacky, Thocky, multi-stage springs, and just some varieties that you can choose from. The adoption of MX style switches as a standard means that you can throw almost any compatible keycap set you want on it, and it will fit. Keys are also easily remappable through programs like VIA and QMK, which is a huge game changer because everyone's typing habits are different. Build quality wise, these are however also mostly plastic in construction, but has slightly better QC than the entry-level ones, meaning less surface blemishes and some variation in mounting styles. Aside from tray mounts, they may also allow for O-ring mounting and perhaps even soft cascade mounts. Some popular keyboards that you'll find in these groups are perhaps like the Tofu keyboards from KBDFans and the open source Bakeneko. They remain excellent keyboards to this day. Obviously, the prices of these two subcategories differ quite a bit. The entry-level ones go in the range of $100, fully built, while the pro-level ones go upwards of $200, complete with entry-level switches and cheaper keycap sets. Mind you, this was 4 years ago. Coming back to the first boom, there were rarely any new budget keyboards offerings and group buys. Things were very stagnant in these two subcategories because everyone was so caught up in the government handouts and was so rich that they only had taste and appetite for the luxury level and premium level of keyboards. The problem is when this bubble burst, and boy did it burst.
The Prime Minister believes the worst moment of this pandemic might be behind us.
Within a span of 6 months, as countries started to lift lockdowns and people went back to work, the governments decided that it was finally time to get back the monetary support that they gave out. Inflation was at an all-time high and interest rates spiked. These factors caused the majority of hobbyists to dump their keyboards out for cash. So a keycap that used to cost upwards of $3,000 was going for a price of about $1,500. People just stopped buying the premium tier of keyboards. And you would think this is where the budget tier of keyboards started to blossom, right? Wrong. First, a crucial trend needed to occur, and that is that the mid-tier keyboards needed to come down in price, become higher quality in construction, and most importantly, available in stock. Take Mode Design for example. Instead of limited releases of Mode 65 and 80, Mode Design decided to run continuous stock of their Sonnets and recently the Envoy and Tempo instead. See, I'm looking at these keyboards now and obviously they're great in design and everything else. Mode didn't try to create artificial scarcity to try and pump prices up, causing this middle tier of keyboards to become really competitive really quickly, especially when Mandatrix came into the picture with the Zoom TKL, which obviously I also built in this channel before. Looking at some of these prices, you might think and mistake that some of these keyboards are actually in the budget tier. They are not. So the fact of the matter is this: if a TKL with an all-metal construction is going for $200 thereabouts, then the existence of the pro-level budget keyboards is getting very questionable. So now, designers have a problem in their hands. People are expecting a lot more out of their keyboards. And like what every good business do, they adapt. Which is why I firmly believe this is the impetus behind the birth of a keyboard like the QK65. 3 years ago, this keyboard would have easily commanded mid-tier prices, but at the point of group buy, this keyboard was going for a price of $150. As if that's not enough, TKD came in aggressively with their Cycle 7 at about $140. You can see where this is going. And like a knee-jerk response, Ktechs punched back with their offering of the Neo 65 at just $90. This keyboard not only has an all-aluminum construction, the bottom has a gorgeous weight, available either in copper, brass, or mirror PVD variants, all of which used to only exist in the premium tier keyboards. Not only that, it offers two mounting styles, O-ring and gasket in one keyboard. It is also VIA and QMK compatible and has several PCB layer options. Bluetooth connectivity is also an option if that's what you like. Having so many features built into one tiny keyboard would have easily commanded a middle to premium tier pricing, like the Vega, which costs upwards of $320, and that keyboard didn't even come with a fancy weight. So the big question now is, will this price war amongst designers continue on for long? Will it come back 1 or 2 years later and find that the same keyboard will cost around $50? The short answer is no, because there's simply a limit on how cheap a keyboard can get. On average, raw aluminum costs $3 per kilogram, including the overhead cost of operating a CNC machine, fabricating PCBs, having to feed workers, and the cost of shipping containers of hefty metallic keyboards. I see $70 to $80 as the absolute minimum a keyboard can cost. And I mean that these prices are for today, not for tomorrow, not for a year later, for today. Because the simple fact is that inflation will naturally push these prices up, and it will even get more exaggerated 5 years later. If you manage to find a keyboard with this low prices 5 years later, I would instead be very concerned about the quality of the keyboard that you're getting. If you don't believe me, come back to this video 5 years later and prove me wrong. I dare you. We take excellent quality for granted these days just because we see good finishing or almost perfect finishing in every keyboard that we purchase. Well, a few years ago, this was not the case, and not every keyboard comes with good finishing. Not that I'm complaining, but I guess let's enjoy the time and season that we are in. So, what can you buy with $200?